Every man thinks he knows how to attract a mature woman. Money, status, saying the right music things. You've been given the wrong information, and it's not your fault. The advice out there is mostly men guessing what women want. I'm not guessing. Music? I'm a woman, and I'm telling you what we actually say when you're not in the room. Today, I'm revealing 7 teasing touches that make a mature woman fall madly in love. Number 4, the ownership hold is so simple you'll be frustrated no one told you sooner. But stay for number 6. One man did everything right. Then one music careless touch destroyed all of it in a single second. Before these 7 touches, one thing every woman wishes you knew. We judge a man by how he touches us. Hesitant means uncertain about everything. Confident means certain about us. That difference changes everything. Here's the first touch, the one she feels hours music after you leave. Teasing touches 7, the lower back claim. Coming in at number 7, this one is so underrated most men don't realize they're supposed to be doing it. Full palm on the small of her back when guiding her through a door, a crowd, to a table, not upper back. That's what her coworker does, not the waist. Too much too soon. The lower back says, I'm leading you and I'm not nervous about it. And the pressure has to be deliberate. Not a fingertip music graze that screams, I'm terrified you'll reject this. I know you music think the grand gesture gets her attention. It doesn't. This does. From a mature woman's perspective, this touch is a character test that happens in 2 seconds. We're reading your confidence, your comfort with leading, your awareness of her body, all through one hand. She's been touched hesitantly by uncertain men for years. Steady and firm, but not aggressive. She notices immediately. Her friends hear about it later. Here's what women say to each other. His hand on my back told me more about him than the entire dinner. I've heard that from more women than I can count. I watched it happen, music with a friend. Late 40s, sharp, not easily impressed. A man guided her through a restaurant music door, hand on her lower back, firm, natural, didn't look down. Something warm spread through her spine and her posture changed without her permission. She leaned into the pressure, didn't decide to. Her body just went to him. She told me later, I knew within 2 seconds this man was different. She wasn't talking about his words. She was talking about his hand. It's not about what you're doing, it's about what she's feeling. You're thinking about hand placement. She's feeling whether you lead or you hope. She knows which one you are before you reach the table. Full palm, firm pressure, mid-walk, mid-conversation. Don't look at your hand. Don't ask. Compare that to the hover. She reads it as fear, the shoulder pat zone in one touch. The tentative fingertips tells her you're afraid. And now she is too. By the time you see the next one, you'll understand why this is just the opening move in a language she's been waiting to hear. Teasing touches. 6. The deliberate arm anchor. Okay, I need to tell you about something that happened to a woman I know because it explains why this touch has so much power. She was at dinner. Good conversation. Nothing extraordinary. She hadn't decided anything about him yet. Then he touched her arm outside of her upper arm while making a point she can't even remember now. 2 seconds. His hand was music there, then gone. Heat spread from the exact spot his fingers had been like his touch left a mark she could still feel. Music. 20 minutes later. She kept glancing at her own arm. She wanted him to do it again. What she told me afterward, I've been kissed, music, by men, and felt less than when he grabbed my arm for 2 seconds. She's not the only woman who said that. This sounds small. That's exactly why it works on mature women. They've been through the big dramatic gestures. Quiet confidence music wrecks them. The deliberate arm anchor. Touch her upper arm or forearm mid-conversation, but only at emotional peaks. When you're making a point that matters, when she's laughing, when something real passes between you, her body isn't analyzing the touch. It's linking music your hand to that emotional high. You're anchoring yourself to her best feelings. After a few, her body creates a loop. Your touch equals intensity, warmth, connection. She starts craving it without knowing why. I know men either never touch during conversation, afraid she'll pull away, or touch constantly until it becomes noise. Both wrong. Both tell her you don't understand timing. Outside music of the upper arm, only during peaks, 2 to 3 seconds. Release cleanly. The release creates the craving. Not the touch, but the absence. That empty space where your hand was, that's where she starts wanting you. She won't tell you this directly, so I will. The man who touches with timing makes her feel like he's reading her body. That's the thing she texts her best friend about afterward. If you miss the next one, everything you just learned loses half its power. The proximity lean turns a single touch into something her body can't stop replaying. Teasing touches 5. the proximity lean. Here's something most men do, music, that drives me crazy, and not in a good way. They keep a safe, respectful distance. They project their voice across the table. They treat a woman's personal space like a border they don't have clearance to cross. I know you think you're being respectful, and look, respect matters, but there's a difference between respecting her space and being afraid of her space. She can tell the music difference. She's been telling the difference for decades. Mature women read excessive distance as either music, not interested, or not confident enough to close the gap. Either way, nothing inside her activates. The proximity lean into her personal space to say something close to her ear, loud environment or quiet one. What you say is almost irrelevant. The proximity is the technique. Your warmth reaching her skin. Your presence filling her awareness. Her heart rate shifts. Her skin becomes hypersensitive. Every nerve ending in her neck and ear activates at once. She's not hearing your words anymore. She's feeling your closeness. And what her body does with that closeness is beyond her control. I'm going to be honest about this one because it happened to me. A man leaned in to tell me something. I don't remember a single word. What I remember is his warmth reaching my skin before his voice did. The world shrinking until it was music, just his breath and my neck and the three in between us. My breath caught and my mind jumped somewhere it hadn't been given permission to go. I wasn't thinking about what he said. I was imagining what would happen if he stayed that close. He pulled back slowly, made eye contact. That sequence took 4 seconds. I thought about it for days. Honestly, I wish someone had shown this to every man I've ever dated because the ones who understood proximity owned something the others never even competed for. Lean in slowly. Let your breath land on her neck. Linger one extra beat. Pull back and hold eye contact. That sequence is devastating, and she won't know why. This next one sounds like the simplest touch on the entire list. That's exactly why it devastates mature women more than everything else combined. If those first 3 touches just changed everything you thought you knew about attracting a mature woman, hit like right now. Subscribe music because the ownership hold is next, and it's the one that makes her stop resisting. Keep watching. Teasing touches 4, the ownership hold primary tease payoff. I told you to wait for this one. Here it is, the ownership hold. Take her music hand. Don't wait for her to offer it. Don't ask. Don't do the music nervous finger brush hoping she'll grab yours. Reach over and hold on. This is the one women music talk about. The touch that separates the men we tell stories about music from the men we forget. This is where most men completely misunderstand what music confidence looks like to a mature woman. A woman I'm close with, 51, runs her own business, doesn't music need anyone, told me this story and I've never forgotten it. She was walking with a man after dinner, mid-sentence, about something completely unrelated. He reached over without a word, without a glance down, without hesitation, and took her hand. She wasn't ready. She hadn't decided anything about him music yet. Then she looked down and realized she was gripping back tighter than he was holding her. And she hadn't decided to do that. Her body made a choice her mind hadn't approved. She tried to loosen her grip. Her hand wouldn't cooperate. She laughed at herself. He noticed music and said nothing. His calm while she was unraveling made it worse or better. She still isn't sure. She told me, "I've had men buy me dinner, fly me places, say beautiful things. Nobody made me feel as desired as the man who took my hand like it was already his." Here's what most men don't understand. It's not about the hand, it's about the decision. You're not asking, you're deciding. A mature woman who spent years making every decision herself, career, family, life. A man who simply decides to reach for her is giving her something she didn't know she was starving for, someone else being certain. That certainty travels through his palm directly into hers. She's not going to tell you this, so I will. The man who asks, "Can I hold your hand?" has already killed what the gesture was supposed to create. The question communicates the opposite of what the touch was meant to say. Compare that to the nervous fingers barely touching. She feels your hesitation through your skin. That's not touch. That's a question mark. Reach music naturally, grip with confidence, don't look down, don't comment. Her music response will mirror your certainty. Trust me, a man who takes her hand without flinching, that's the thing she calls her best friend about before music her coat is off. By the time you see what the hair tuck does, you'll understand why music, every touch on this list builds towards something most men never reach. Teasing touches. 3, the hair tuck. I need to tell you about a category of touch mature women are defenseless, music against, and most men have no idea it exists. There's a combination that short-circuits her composure. Tenderness, music, and authority at the same time. Reaching into her space, her hair, her face is quiet control. You didn't ask, you just did it. But when the gesture itself is gentle, it creates something her mind can't resolve. Claimed and cherished at once. Women call it being undone. Not overwhelmed, not seduced, undone. Like something carefully held together just came apart. I almost didn't include this because of how personal the stories get, but you need to hear it. A woman told me about a man who tucked hair behind her ear mid-con conversation. Casual, almost absent-minded, like he couldn't help himself. She stopped talking, forgot every word. She felt his fingertips brush past her ear, and something quiet opened inside her chest that she couldn't close for weeks. That gesture became what she returned to. In the shower, driving, music, lying awake at night, not the dinner, not the conversation. 3 seconds, his hand moved toward her face, and she let him. She told me 5 words I'll carry forever. I've been kissed and felt less. The hair tuck, mid-conversation, tuck a strand behind her ear. One hand, gentle, brief eye contact. Say nothing. Resume talking like it was the most natural reflex in the world. The casualness, music, is the weapon. It must look involuntary, not rehearsed. You're thinking about the move. She's thinking about what it felt like to be touched by a man unafraid of tenderness. Those are 2 different worlds. She lives in hers. Pay close attention to this next one. It's the story of a man who understood everything I've told you and ruined it with one touch. Teasing touches 2. The possessive waist-pull failure story. Secondary tease, music, payoff. I told you to stay for this one. Now you'll understand why. This is the story women tell each other as music, a warning. I'm telling it to you as a gift. He'd been perfect all evening. Hand on her lower back walking in, firm, natural. Touched her arm during conversation at exactly the right moments. Leaned in close and she felt music. Everything I just described to you. She was already his. Her body had decided. She was imagining what would happen next. Music. Then they were standing in a group. He reached for her waist, pulled her close, but the grip was too hard, too sudden. His fingers pressed into her hip like he was holding a possession, not a person. And he did it while looking at another man across the room, not at her. She wasn't being desired, she was being displayed. The warmth she'd been building drained out of her body so fast, she actually felt music, cold. Every touch, every perfect moment collapsed in one graceless grab. She spent the rest, music of the night, creating distance. He never understood what changed. That story should bother you because the distance between she's falling for you and she's looking for the exit is exactly one careless touch. If the men in my past understood this one difference, everything would have been different. I mean that. The possessive waist pull done right. Hand on the side of her waist. Gentle but decisive pulling her closer. Powerful in social settings where the public claiming amplifies everything. But here's what he missed. Look at her when you do it. Not the room, not other men, her. She needs to feel you pulled her close because you wanted her near, not because you wanted others to see her near. She's not going to tell you this directly, so I will. The difference between she's with me and she belongs music to me is everything. One makes her melt, the other makes her leave. You think she's evaluating the move? She's evaluating the intention. Did you pull her close for her or for your audience? She knows. She always knows. Men who understand that music difference are ready for the last touch on this list. And this one doesn't just create attraction, it creates something that music never leaves. Teasing touches one. The face hold emotional climax. This is the last touch. It's the one that music changes everything I've said from attraction into love. Cup her face with one or both hands during a music intimate moment. A pause in laughter. A moment where the noise stops music and it's just you two. The most intimate, non-physical touch that exists. Everything on this list builds here. Here's what women don't tell you, especially mature women. Face holding makes the world disappear. She's locked into music you and there's nowhere to hide. A woman who spent years managing, controlling, holding herself together because no one gave her another option. Being held like this disarms something deep, something she protected a long time. When women describe this, music they don't say attractive. They say, I felt seen, being truly seen by a man who isn't looking away. That's what mature women have been missing. Some for years, some for decades. A woman told me this, and I need you to hear every word. 53, divorced 4 years, rebuilt everything. Career, independence, pride, didn't need a man. They were in his kitchen, nothing special. He was mid-sentence. Then he stopped, reached up with both hands, cupped her jaw, and looked at her. Not through her. Not at what she'd survived. At her. Her eyes filled before she could stop them. Not from sadness, but from being held in a way she'd forgotten she needed. She tried to laugh it off. He didn't let go, just held her gently. Waited. She said 5 words I'll never forget. Nobody has held me like that. She wasn't talking about her face. She was talking about being seen fully, quietly by a man whose hands said, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I'll nudge like him as that was the moment, not gradually. Right then, she stopped evaluating. Music. She decided she won't tell you she needs this. She might not know until it happens. Both hands cupping her jaw, gentle but present. Her eyes say, come here. Music. Or nothing. Hold 3 to 5 seconds. This isn't a move you practice. It's a moment you earn. You're not thinking about technique, music anymore. Neither is she. That's how you know it's working. Before I wrap this up, let me give you the things music women say to each other all the time about touch, and wish someone would just tell you directly. Every woman I know agrees on this. The touches that destroy us aren't the big dramatic ones. It's the sequence. The man who starts with his hand on our back, music, then touches our arm at exactly the right moment, then leans in close, and by the music time he takes our hand, our body has already been saying yes for 20 minutes. That is what makes a woman lose her composure. Not one move. The build. Start with the lower back claim and the arm anchor. These are your foundation. Low risk, massive signal. Practice until music they feel like breathing. Add the proximity lean and the ownership hold once she's responding. Leaning in, mirroring, finding excuses to be closer. Those communicate. I've decided I want you without a single word. Save the hair tuck, the waist pull, and the face hold for when the attraction is unmistakable. They require the foundation. Jumping to the face hold before you've earned it is like saying something too honest, music too soon. The words might be true, but the timing makes them land wrong. Here are 3 things women say constantly that I'm going to translate for you. He makes me feel safe. That means his touch is confident and attentive. He's not grabbing, he's holding. There's a music difference, and every woman on earth knows it. Something about him is different. That means he touches with timing, not frequency. Every contact means something. Nothing is random. Nothing is music nervous. I can't explain why I'm so attracted to him. She can explain it. She just doesn't realize it's his music touch doing the work, not his words. Now you know. Now, let me tell you something that should make every man watching this feel incredibly good about where he is in life. Your hands don't shake with nervousness. You've lived long enough to know what you want. That certainty doesn't just live in music your head. It transfers through your skin directly into hers. She feels your calm. You're not rushing. Younger men touch with urgency. Grab, escalate, music, rush. You touch with patience. You let each moment land. You let the silence after a touch do the real work. That patience is music, what makes a mature woman's mind race. You've been reading people for decades. You know when a smile is real versus polite. When a lean-in is interest versus manners. That emotional intelligence means your touch is calibrated. Right moment, right pressure, right duration. That calibration separates the man she can't stop thinking about from the man she forgot by morning. These 7 touches aren't tricks you're learning. They're expressions of the man you've already become. Ask any woman. The most attractive thing about a man's touch isn't the technique. It's the years behind it. One more thing, and this matters. Everything I've described works because it's built on something real. Genuine desire to connect, not desperate need to control. Here's the difference between the man who makes a woman feel desired and the man who makes her uncomfortable. And every woman will tell you this. It's whether you're paying attention to her response. When she leans in, you've earned more. When you feel any resistance, you adjust without ego, without frustration. That willingness to calibrate is the music confidence. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you trustworthy. And trustworthy is what allows a woman to surrender. Remember the failure story. He was confident. He was bold. But the moment he stopped paying attention to her, everything collapsed. These touches are a conversation. Conversations require listening. A man who touches without listening is just making noise. A man who touches and listens, that's the man she music falls for. If you want the simplest version of everything I just said, the thing I'd tell my closest male friend if he asked music me how to touch a mature woman, here it is. Start with the back and the arm. Those teach timing, music, and confidence. Add proximity and the hand when she's leaning in. Those teach decisiveness. Save the hair, music, the waist, and the face for when the connection is real. Those she'll remember forever. And through all of it, music every single touch. Pay attention to what she's feeling, not what you're doing. That one shift is the entire difference between the men women settle, music for, and the men women can't stop thinking about. The lower music back claim, the deliberate arm anchor, the proximity lean, the ownership hold, the hair tuck, the possessive waist pull, the face hold. 7 touches from boldly simple to quietly devastating. Each one speaks a sentence. Together, they have a conversation her body has been waiting years to hear. These aren't tricks. They aren't sleazy moves from a playbook written by someone who's never been on the receiving end. They're the physical language of masculine confidence, spoken music fluently by men who understand something most never learn. A woman's body listens before her mind decides. Every touch is a message. And the message she's been desperate to receive isn't music, I want you. It's, I'm certain about you. Those are 2 very different things. And now you know the difference. I told you at the beginning that the dating advice out there is mostly men guessing what women want. Now you've heard it from the other side. Not theory, not guesses. What women actually feel when a man's hand lands with certainty versus hesitation. What we talk about with our friends the next morning? What makes us stop evaluating and simply decide? You didn't just learn 7 touches. You learned the language we've been waiting to hear from someone who speaks it. You already have everything these touches require. The steadiness that only comes from years of living. The calm that can't be faked. The patience younger men haven't earned yet. What you didn't have until right now was the vocabulary. The specific music, physical language that translates who you are into something she can feel through her skin. Now you have it. Every woman I know would tell you the same thing. A man who touches with music, quiet certainty, is more powerful than a man with the perfect words. Most men spend their whole lives never learning that you just did. And here's the truth. Most men will never know the woman you want. She's not waiting for a man with better words. She's waiting for a man, music, with confident hands. That's you. Now tell me in the comments which touch surprised you the most, or which one are you trying first? The lower back claim, the ownership hold, music, the face hold. I read every single comment. Talk to me. And if this changed how you think about attracting a mature woman, hit like. Share it with a man who needs to hear this. Subscribe because this is just the beginning, and what's coming next goes deeper than music, anything I've shared today. Stop hesitating. Start touching with certainty. Watch her fall.